Welcome to Seele Food. Seele is the German word for soul, so soul food, but Seele food. This podcast is in conjunction with Seele Magazine, an online magazine bridging faith, cultures, and culture. I'm Allie Forti, an American Southern girl who travels and loves talking to people. I'm bringing you conversations from global movers and shakers from somewhere in the world. From these conversations, hopefully you'll be inspired to move and shake too. Thanks for spending time with me today. I hope you get fed, so let's begin. Almost 2 weeks ago, I had the privilege of attending the Country to Country Music Festival in London, England for the third year in a row. And one artist that just swept me off my feet was Lainey Wilson. When I first heard her song Workin' Overtime, I'm like, who is this girl? I've got to meet her because she's got a traditional country music voice, but she's in tune with the modern era, and she's down to earth, she's humble, and she's got this confident boldness on stage mixed with humility. Lainey gets you with her southern distinct drawl, and it's the first thing that you notice about her. I had a chat with her last week while I was in Paris, and she was in Nashville. She lives there, but she's originally from the state of Louisiana. Her mother is a teacher and her father is a soybean, corn, and wheat farmer. But farming is a large part of her life, and we talk a little bit about that in the interview. At the age of 9, she wrote her first song and learned guitar 2 years later. And in high school, she did Hannah Montana impersonations, touring various cities. This was the foundation of Lainey learning stage performances. After high school, Lainey moved to Nashville and lived in a camper trailer outside of a recording studio. But it paid off because they would give her water. But she endured rainstorms and flooding, all for the dream of making it to Nashville. Lainey's music, from the tunes to the lyrics, are honest and relatable, but they're also full of grit. I met up with Lainey after C2C over the phone, and we had a great chat about her music, faith, fans that she's got in the UK, and women artists that inspire her. So enjoy this interview with Lainey Wilson and go check her out, her music on Apple iTunes, on YouTube, and if you're a country music lover or an open-minded music lover, you'll enjoy Lainey Wilson's music. So how did you find C2C last week, and did you enjoy being across the pond?
Girl, it keeps getting better every single time I go over there. Last time I went over there was in October of last year, and I was completely blown away by just how engaged the audience is and excited they were, to just hear some country music. And this trip, this last time, just exceeded all of my expectations by, 10 times. So it was unbelievable.
I can imagine. How does it make you feel that they know the lyrics of your songs?
That's what I was telling somebody actually last week when I was over there. I said, my mama don't even know the words to my songs. It's crazy to imagine that somebody, that far away, just thousands and thousands of miles from here, have done their research and figured out I was coming over there, and were excited enough to dig in and learn my stuff. It's a big old honor.
I'm sure it's humbling. Next question. You've got a unique fashion style. Can you talk a little bit about that and where it comes from?
Yes, girl. So I wear bell bottoms every single day of my life.
Wow.
I like to call it. I like to joke around and say it's country with a flair.
Right.
But,
literally.
I had this pair of bell bottoms when I was probably about 11 years old, and they were blue leopard print bell bottoms from Limited 2, and I never wanted to take the things off. And my mom was like, all right, Lainey, we got to wash these. You got to take them off at some point. But anyway, as time went on, how you go through different phases and wear different things and stuff like that, I just resorted back to those bell bottoms because I remember how they made me feel. And I was like, you know what, I want to portray this carefree kind of, vibe through my music and not really, kind of make people feel like, you can be who you want to be all the time. And I feel like bell bottoms are a good representation of that feeling, at least for me.
Gotcha. Well, they're really cool. I mean, it just reminds me of when my dad pulled out his pair of bell bottoms in the attic when I was a child. I'm like, wow, you wore those. But I mean, it makes it unique when you're changing up your style like that. Kind of like how Midland has a certain style. So it makes you unique.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Put on a bunch of things that don't match and just walk out the door.
Exactly. And it shows your personality.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. When it comes to songwriting, how have you been able to make relatable lyrics that tell a story?
I have found the longer that I write, because I've been writing since I was 9 years old, but I have found the more honest I am, whether it's my story or a co-writer story or whatever, the more brutally honest we are. People can just gravitate towards that and and relate to it on a different kind of level. And so the more I write, the more honest I get, really.
Yeah.
And it's it's not an easy thing to get in there and just throw it all out on a piece of paper, but those are the songs that I feel like end up rising to the top for me, are the ones that are the most transparent.
Yeah. Yeah, and the ones that are relatable. Speaking of like women country artists, last Friday was International Women's Day. What female country artist and non-country female artist inspires you?
Man. So one of my biggest influences ever is Miss Dolly Parton. And aside from her music, aside from being obsessed with all of her music, I feel like she tells it how it is.
Yes.
She don't beat around the bush. She just says it how she wants to say it, and she's funny, and she don't take life too serious. And so she's been a big influence of mine. And man, let me think. Who else on the other side of things?
Yes, non-country.
Miss Janis Joplin. She, style icon right there. Like when I think about, how I want to look when I go on stage, I truly try to channel my inner Janis Joplin.
Yes.
Because I know, like, she just literally, it was a way for her to express herself, and she would also throw on things that didn't match. She didn't hardly brush her hair, and I'm like, hey, I can do that. That's pretty easy.
Exactly. And people loved her.
Yep.
For it,
right.
yeah.
She was gritty.
Yes.
And so I would like to see a combination, I guess you could say, of those two.
Okay. And they're quite fascinating women, two very different kind of styles of music, but very fascinating and inspiring women. It seemed at the All Bar One stage, I think was that Saturday night, you went up there with such boldness and confidence when you started singing. Where does that come from?
You know what? I think it honestly comes from my raising. I grew up in a town of about 300 people, and I grew up on a farm, and I guess you could say that grittiness kind of comes from growing up on a farm and getting down and dirty when you have to. And my daddy he'd put me on the back of a horse and say, hold on.
Wow.
And I've kind of like taken that with me throughout life, and especially throughout the music business, because it's a bucking horse for sure.
I can imagine.
But so yeah, I think it's just kind of one of those things where I just feel like I got to take the bull by the horns and get up there and and do the thing. So that's where I feel most confident.
Okay.
And comfortable.
That's wonderful. Because my next question was, how has growing up in a farming community and then growing up in the state of Louisiana gotten you to where you are now? Is there anything specific about growing up in that state and then growing up on a farm that's led you to where you are?
Yeah. So I always compare farming business in a lot of different ways. It literally goes hand in hand because you get up every single day.
Mm-hmm.
You do the same exact thing. And some years you have good years, some years you have bad years, but it don't matter. You know, if it's your livelihood, you get up and you do the thing every single day. And some years are going to be better than others. But if it is your livelihood, then you don't really have any other option but to get up and do it every single day. So you just got to keep watering it, taking care of it, just like anything, you know. And that's kind of where that's kind of the, I guess, lesson and motto that I've kind of held on to trying to do this thing, because to be honest with you, moving to Nashville, trying to do this is not, there's nothing easy about it. But relating back to the whole farming thing, you know, there's nothing easy about that. So when you don't have a plan B, plan A has to work.
Yes. Yeah, I heard Jimmy Allen say at C2C that he doesn't believe in plan Bs, because if you have someone who decides to go to medical school and they've invested like 9 years into that, there's no plan B. You got to be the doctor. And when it comes to loving country music and being an artist, either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. So yeah,
that's right.
It's quite interesting.
Yep.
It seems that you've had to push into the table to make a seat at the table, or maybe just making your own table when it came to getting into the tight writing communities of Nashville. Can you talk about tenacity and perseverance and pushing in, and how it's helped you get to where you are now?
Absolutely. Yeah, to be honest with you, it really did take me a very, very, very long time to even slightly get my foot in the door on Music Row, because I really didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. You know, I was getting up every single day, and I was trying to, you know, write songs, and figured that eventually somebody would just hear my stuff and, you know, like want to help me in some kind of way. But there were times, you know, throughout my time being here, there was literally moments in time where I was like, all right, there's got to be some kind of shift. I've got to do something. I don't really know who to even talk to or whatever, but I know something needs to change.
Yeah.
And I've had a handful of people here in Nashville who are, you know, love me as a person, and also, you know, and love my music and love what I do, and they have welcomed me with open arms and taken me under their wing, and really, you know, tried to help me find whatever that next step was. For instance, a guy named Forrest Whitehead. He produces Kelsey Ballerini, but we would go to lunch and he would say, you know, like, tell me about what's going on, and he would figure out, you know, how to help me get to that next step and stuff like that. So that really taught me right there that, you know, you can't do this without people being in your corner.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to do that for somebody one day, because you just can't do it without, you know, a family of people here. So yeah, you just keep on going and figure out what's working, what's not working, and just dig your dang heels in, and don't stop. And I'm gonna be digging my heels in for years to come. So.
Years to come, yeah. And that shift that you were talking about earlier, what was that like? Where I guess you said, you know, things can't keep going on how they are. Something has to give. I've got to get, whether it's a deal here or there. What was that like? It was a mindset thing, or did you just call up somebody or chase somebody every day?
It was just one of those things where I am a hard-headed little rascal. You can ask my parents, but it was honestly one of those things where, like, I'm not leaving. I've been here long enough, dang it. Like,
yeah,
I am not leaving without making some kind of mark on this town.
Yeah.
And once, like, little bitty things would kind of happen and little bitty opportunities would come my way, I truly felt like that was just confirmation that I was on the right track. And those little bitty tiny successes kept me going.
I see.
So it was almost like the Lord just, you know, kept giving me like little glimmers of hope, and, you know, like, you're on the right track. So, yeah, that's what it was.
Wonderful. You just spoke about the Lord. Is faith a big part of your life?
Absolutely. I moved to Nashville in a camper trailer,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived in it for 3 years, and I truly didn't have anything going on. It was with my friends. It was just me and the Lord.
Yeah.
and that is, it's always been a big part of my life. And my family loves the Lord, and to be honest with you, I don't know how in the world you go through, trying to do something like this in the music industry and not having faith. I couldn't do it without him. So
Yeah, it seems impossible to be able to do life without God.
Yep.
3 last quick questions. I asked this same question to Jimmy Allen. I've got a friend who works at the O2 Arena, and he works in the accounting department, and he and his colleagues love the country music artists because they get their receipts in on time, they're kind, they're respectful, but the rap crowd, the rock crowd, they're arrogant, they're rude. Why do you think it is that country music artists tend to have a more humble, kind personality, character than other music genres?
Yeah. For me personally, country music is really just a lifestyle.
Yeah.
We're singing about the truth to us, and it's real and raw, and I think that's what is so special about country music is just being transparent like that. So I think that's what makes country music so incredible.
Yeah. I think so too. Okay. Your voice is phenomenal. Where does it come from? Because you've got such a unique sound in your voice.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I do have, my family is musical on both sides. They didn't sing a whole lot, but they could play instruments.
Mm-hmm.
And my mama, bless her heart, can't carry a tune in a bucket.
You and your mom and I are the same.
Guitar by ear.
Okay.
That's funny. But my daddy can play guitar by ear. And so I think it was just, I don't really know how it happened, to be honest with you. My mama sang a little bit in church.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, my family sounds like a bunch of dogs howling.
Wow, you're gifted then. The Lord really gave you a gift.
Yep. Thank you.
Of course. All right. So, last question: What can fans expect to see from you this year? And are you going back to London?
We just announced it yesterday. We are going back to London sometime in September for the Long Road Festival.
Great.
And I told them, I said, y'all keep asking, we'll keep on coming, because I know every artist that I've talked to that was over there for C2C, we're just completely blown away by everybody's, reaction and excitement about country music. But, man, what else can they expect? I'm actually in the studio right now.
Okay.
As soon as I get done with this, I am going straight to the studio, and we started working on my record this week. So as soon as we landed from London, we literally went straight from the airport to the studio, and these songs are songs that I've been working hard on for a long time, and excited to bring them to life. But they can expect a single being out sometime this year, and I'll be doing a radio tour and all that. So that's what's going to happen the rest of the year. You
sound quite busy. But Lainey, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me, and I just pray that you can continue to prosper and move up and up at the right pace and continue to inspire other people.
Thank you so much. That means the world to me.
Of course, of course.
I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Oh, my pleasure. It's an honor to be able to talk to you.
Oh, thank you very much.
I hope that you enjoyed this interview with Lainey Wilson. She's down to earth. She's got that southern kind of hospitality and openness and friendliness. And I hope that you go listen to her music. She's working on a new album. And check her out. And I'll see you on the next interview. Until next time. I hope you enjoyed this podcast conversation and that it fed you in some way to pursue your own dreams. Be sure to subscribe to Zayla Mag at zaylamag.com SEELEMAG.com, where you'll be automatically entered to win our giveaways. And follow us on Instagram at Seele Magazine, SEELE Magazine. Till next time.